picture of Alastair as a young boy, about 5 years old, wearing old-fashioned hearing aids, carried in a body strap. I mean, you're the cutest little boy. You're not bad now, Alastair.
I have a very rare condition. When I was born in the early 80s, no one knew about it.
Can I ask how old you are now?
I'm 35, but I look about 25. Because that's the beauty of my condition.
And wearing provocative costumes also brings me joy. My friends will tell you that.
A round of applause, please.
We launched a Centre of Research Excellence in Disability and Health. Go wild!
I chose this photo because in some ways it kind of makes me look a little bit like the poster child for becoming a hearing person with this technology. Now, to be clear, I had a very happy upbringing. My parents, my family, I was given so much love. I was surrounded by love and support, and I had a lot of access to the world around me. But at the same time, when I look back, I realized there were also a lot of frustrations. I knew that if I followed the conversation, I would be participating in that. So I was kind of forced in a way to become like a hearing child, even though I didn't have functional hearing in the same way that others did.
What do you mean you were forced to become like a hearing child?
Well, just that. I mean, wearing this technology. Part of our identity is being able to look at the world in a purely visual way. And so it's important to recognise that the deaf community is a community that is a visual group of people, and it's important to respect that. People who are deaf and hard of hearing, there are some people who like to listen to music and go to theatre. There's a great deal of diversity within the deaf and hard of hearing community. Every day people are telling me stories that they want to be seen as normal, but they're questioning what people actually believe normal is. We think about mainstreaming, but at the same time we seem to have lost sight of the value and the beauty of diversity. People have different approaches to life, and this is something to be respected, and this is something, all of these things are normal. We seem to get hung up as a society on specific ideals of normal, and they're often a medical-based model of normality. So when somebody comes along who doesn't fit that normal cohort, they're seen as being abnormal. Many people tell me that when they use accessible toilets, because they need more room to be able to change themselves, when they walk out, they often get people asking them why they've used the disabled toilet, because, you know, it should be reserved for people with a wheelchair. The image, obviously, is of a person with a wheelchair. There are many people with what we call hidden disabilities that are more difficult to identify just by sight. When you see a person and they may be an amputee, they may be in a wheelchair, instead of asking about the condition or the disability, ask who their name is. That's really looking at the person first. And we want professionals to be able to see people with disabilities as people first. Professionals and clinicians forget that people with disabilities are in fact people with hopes and dreams and fears just like everybody else, and they only look at the condition.
I think it was just constantly being in hospital, and like when I was a really little baby, I was in hospital for 3 months, and my parents were told that I wasn't going to live, so they had to take me home to die. I don't know what's kept me alive, probably being stubborn and assertive.
This is a screenshot of some articles written by Carly, one that she wrote in May 2017 for Daily Life. I talk about how a cleaner walked out of my house because she didn't know how to handle my appearance. Tell us what happened that day.
I've been working from home this past 8 months, and the cleaner is on rotation from an agency. So I now see the cleaners come. Before, when I worked in an office, I didn't. And I greeted the cleaner and she was like, like that. I said, look, I'm always like this. You don't need to react like that. I've explained to the agency that it's not contagious, blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to my room to do some more work, and after about 20 minutes, I thought, I can't hear any cleaning, I can't smell any cleaning, and she'd left. And I'd rung the woman that runs the agency. I said, the cleaner's gone. And she said, oh yes, she didn't know how to deal with your face, so she left. It's really tiring, you know, that to have to explain your backstory all the time. And one of the things, so I contacted the Victorian Human Rights Commission, and no offence, Alastair, but they told me I could submit a complaint, and I actually felt it easier to go to social media about it, because I did not know what was going to happen with the complaint. It was my word against theirs, you know, so I didn't.
What I find most exciting about this film is that it's a mockumentary, as you said, around the issue of people without disabilities getting accolades and getting jobs, playing people with disabilities. I think this film really contributes to that discussion around diversity that we're seeing in the media at the moment, which is really exciting and a really wonderful thing to be a part of. And it was so good to be included in a mainstream film festival. And even... I think that it's really important to have people with disabilities engaged in meaningful opportunities that are valuable to them in whatever capacity that might be. You know, for me, it's the arts. For someone else, it might be something completely different. But what's really important is that we show people with disabilities that they are respected members of our society that can make a meaningful contribution. And I think the way to do that is in a paid capacity wherever possible. And that's really important to me. And I've been very lucky in terms of getting paid work the last few years. So I think things are changing. But I would like to see that, particularly in terms of this centre. As Alastair said, I think it's really important to get people with disabilities employed in this centre in a paid capacity. It's really important to look after ourselves and look after each other. And for me, that does come down to sort of participating in relationships and making sure that you're supported. And not only does that, in general, make me a healthier, happier person, but it also gives me a support network and a sort of safety net to fall back on when things inevitably don't go well in this inevitable roller coaster of life, which I enjoy very much. You know, you asked me about things that bring me joy, and there's not much that brings me more joy than this project did. We've worked incredibly hard on this project, and it really opened up a dialogue between people with disabilities and the wider community. And I think what was really special to me about this project was that it really put the voices of people with disability front and centre, and really raised expectations in so many ways of what the people involved in this project were capable of.
We are about trying to improve the health of people with disabilities and getting the research evidence to enable us to do that. We know that people with disabilities have poor health, and often it's unrelated to their underlying disability. We know things like 38% of deaths of people with intellectual disability in New South Wales were avoidable, compared to 17% with people without disability. Our argument is that a lot of those differences are probably related to the social determinants of health, be they employment, housing, education, policy, discrimination. We want to start a conversation about what health means for people with disabilities. We want to move beyond just a kind of deficit description of health.
I'm very excited about the CRE-DH, the Centre for Research Excellence in Disability and Health. Did the interpreter get that right?